Hello there and welcome. This brief video will help you support your student in accessing their California Inspired Science middle school resources. As we go through this brief video, I'm going to give you two scenarios. The first scenario would be if the teacher has not assigned resources for your student, but you still want them to support them in reviewing what they've already learned this year or maybe exploring some new content. And the second scenario is to show you, yes, if my teacher has assigned resources for me to access, how do I do that and then submit those resources back to my teacher? So let's start with that first scenario. The first thing you're going to want to do is ask your student for their California Inspired Science login. They'll have that information. They might log in directly to our page, or they might go through a district portal. Their next step will be to click on their California Inspired Science middle school book, and that is going to take them to the dashboard that you see here. From that dashboard, if the teacher has not assigned any resources directly to your student, you're going to start your navigation right here with this "Where do you want to go? Browse your course." When I open up that Browse Your Course, the first place I'm going to take you to is Program Resources Course Materials. Go ahead and click on Program Resources Course Materials. And when you're here, you're going to see a number of different sections, okay? And underneath these sections, actually in this case you only see one section, you have essentially a file folder called Learning Resources. And to open that up, I can just click on the arrow on the right, and I see a number of different tools to support my students through their instruction. Okay, the very first tool would be their student edition. So you can ask the students, hey, do you guys remember what unit you're working in? If they don't, you might open it up and look through a couple of the titles of lessons to see what kind of piques their memory. And once you actually figure out what unit your student is working in, once you launch the ebook, this is what you're going to see. Okay, so here I'm in Unit 4, Interactions within Ecosystems. If your students have been working in this before, it'll actually open up to the last lesson that they were working in. If not, you're going to want to navigate there, and you can do that over here on the left by clicking on the table of contents. When I open up that table of contents, it's going to show me the name of the unit that we're working in, Interactions within Ecosystems, then the chapters that we have, Matter and Energy in Ecosystems, and then the lessons within those chapters. So I can see Lesson 1 right there. And then to get to Lesson 1, I just click right on it. If I want to be able to zoom in to see this a little bit more clearly, I can switch to a single page view right here, and then my zoom tools will work, and I can go in and review the text or review lessons that we've gone in and looked at before. Okay, great way to continue reinforcing what students have been working through. Then close out the student ebook, and you have a couple of other options for students to access that science text. One of them is going to be down here at the bottom called Reading Essentials. And when I open up Reading Essentials, it's actually that same student textbook, but we've kind of taken out all the graphics and the labs, and we've written it in a very scaffolded and straightforward manner so that students can focus on kind of the most important information that they need to learn in each section. It gives them ideas about the key vocabulary they need to be focusing on. There's even some study coach tools that could help you if you're working on perhaps a little mini lesson with your student. That's something that you can download, you can print it off if you want, great resource. And then right above that is something that we call LearnSmart. And LearnSmart is actually an amped up version of that student text that really helps direct your student understanding of the content. So let's open it up and take a look. Let's pretend we're working in that Unit 4 again. So here I am in LearnSmart Unit 4. When I launch into that, just by clicking right on it, I'm going to now see that Reading Essentials text, but I'm going to see it in a slightly different format. So I'm going to go into Biodiversity and Ecosystems, and when I land on the first page of Lesson 1 here, I see that there are things that are already highlighted for me. Those yellow highlights indicate to me as a student, hey, this is the most important content that I need to learn on this page. I can go on to the next page. I can see, hey, not as much kind of important content there. Now I know, hey, biodiversity index, that's something I really need to learn. And after I've been reading for a little while, this practice button that you see here in the lower left is going to begin flashing at your student in blue. And that's an indicator that says, hey, you've been reading for a while. Now it's time to assess what you've learned or to apply what you've learned. So now students are going to be presented with questions about what they just read. They can type in their answer to the question. If they don't remember, they can always go back and read about it. Okay, it's going to take them right back to the page where that answer happens to be. Then they can go in and answer that question. They also have their confidence factor. Hey, did I know that answer right off the bat, or did I make a complete guess? And it's this balance between reading and practicing that's really going to support students in developing their understanding of this important content. And after students have answered questions about the text, this yellow highlight will actually turn to green, showing that they've mastered it. So if they answer the questions correctly, that's going to turn to green, and that'll let your student know, hey, that's something I already know, and I don't need to go back and review that further. Okay, so that Learn Smart tool is a really nice piece. So let me review for you just again how we got to those key resources. So I started over here on my dashboard, and from the dashboard, I went to this Browse Your Course, and I selected Program Resources Course Materials. And then from Program Resources Course Materials, I opened up that Learning Resources file folder, and I found my digital student ebook right here. I found Reading Essentials, which was that more supportive, printable version of the student textbook. And then I found this study tool, Learn Smart, that's actually going to help guide my students around exactly what they need to know within the program and assess that on it. So those are some great tools that will really keep you going if you don't have a teacher that's actually assigning resources out to you. Now let's talk about that other scenario if your teacher was assigning you tools, okay? So 2 places where you would see those assignments. First place that you would see them on your student dashboard is right here on the calendar. Okay, I can see I have an assignment on 3-dimensional thinking, and I can also see that I have a lesson my teacher wants me to review. The other place I could see those assignments will be right over here on the left where it says assignments. And if I click into that, I can also see that 3-dimensional thinking assignment that was given to me. So let's go back over to the dashboard for a second, because I also see on my calendar that my teacher has assigned a specific lesson to review. So if I click right into that and I say view, it is going to take me right to the lesson that my teacher wants me looking at. Each of these little sections or file folders contains something that is a part of the lesson that I want to walk through. But instead of kind of opening them all up and clicking into them this way, I can also go into this handy launch presentation right here in the upper right-hand corner. And when I do that, it is going to take me through every aspect of that lesson. So I have a probe at the beginning of the lesson to kind of identify what I know and don't know. If I go ahead and click Next Resource, that's going to take me to the next part of the lesson. Notice this one has 3 pages to it. So on this first page, I've got this question and visual. When I click forward to the second page, I have a video to watch. The third page, I might have a place to put in some response, okay? So the teacher may want me to go through that whole lesson or give me some directions there. And then the other scenario would be if there was actually an assignment assigned to me specifically. So in this case, I have an assignment that my teacher gave me on March 20th, due on the 27th. I'm going to click into that, then click into the icon, and then I can read the particular question for that assignment that is popping up. Give it just 1 second. And I can type in my response here. Notice this blue saving over here. You want to make sure and wait until saving has switched to saved, okay, in green, and that will let you know that it's actually ready and time to go in and submit that assignment. After it's turned to submit, or sorry, now it's green saved over there. Now I can submit the assignment. Yes, I'm ready. My answers are complete, and I go in and click submit. Now that has been returned to my teacher for my teacher to go in and grade that resource. So thank you so much for all of the work that you are doing with your students. We really appreciate it, and we hope you find this to be valuable tools to help you support your students as they go through this time away from their actual physical classroom. Thank you.